Hello and welcome to the session on continuous functions. A point Z0 is said to be an interior point of a set S whenever there is some neighbourhood of Z0 that contains only points of S. A point Z0 is called an exterior point of S when there exists a neighbourhood of it containing no points of S. If Z0 is neither an interior point nor an exterior point, then Z0 is called a boundary point of S. A boundary point is therefore a point all of whose neighbourhoods contain points in S and points not in S. The totality of all boundary points is called the boundary of S. The circle mod z equal to 1, for instance, is the boundary of each of the sets mod z less than 1 and mod z less than or equal to 1. A set is open if it contains none of its boundary points. In other words, a set is open if and only if each of its points is an interior point. A set is closed if it contains all of its boundary points, and the closure of a set S is the closed set consisting of all points in S together with the boundary of S. Mod z less than 1 is an open set, whereas mod z less than or equal to 1 is the closure of both the sets mod z less than 1 and mod z less than or equal to 1. Some sets are neither open nor closed. For a set to be not open, there must be a boundary point that is contained in the set, and if a set is not closed, there exists a boundary point not contained in the set. The punctured disk 0 less than mod z less than or equal to 1 is neither open nor closed. The set of all complex numbers is, on the other hand, both open and closed, since it has no boundary points. An open set S is connected if each pair of points Z1 and Z2 in it can be joined by a polygonal line consisting of a finite number of line segments joined end to end that lies entirely in S. The open set mod z less than 1 is connected. The annulus 1 less than mod z less than 2 is of course open and it is also connected. An open set that is connected is called a domain. Note that any neighbourhood is a domain. A domain together with some, none or all of its boundary points is referred to as a region. A set S is bounded if every point of S lies inside some circle mod z equal to R, otherwise it is unbounded. Both of the sets mod z less than 1 and mod z less than or equal to 1 are bounded regions, and the half plane real part of z greater than or equal to 0 is unbounded. A point Z0 is called an accumulation point of a set S if each deleter neighbourhood of Z0 contains at least one point of S. It follows that if a set S is closed, then it contains each of its accumulation points. Evidently, a point Z0 is not an accumulation point of a set S whenever there exists some deleted neighbourhood of Z0 that do not contain points of S. Functions of a complex variable. Let S be a set of complex numbers. A function f defined on S is a rule that assigns to each z in S a complex number w. The number w is called the value of f at z and is denoted by f of z, that is w is equal to f of z. The set S is called the domain of definition of f. It must be emphasized that both a domain of definition and a rule are needed in order for a function to be well defined. When the domain of definition is not mentioned, we agree that the largest possible set is to be taken. Thus, if we speak only of the function 1 by z, the domain of definition is understood to be the set of all non-zero points in the plane. Suppose that w is equal to u plus iv is the value of a function f at z equal to x plus iy, so that u plus iv is equal to f of x plus iy. Each of the real numbers u and v depends on the real variables x and y, and it follows that f of z can be expressed in terms of a pair of real valued functions of the real variables x and y. F of z is equal to u of xy plus I v of xy, that is equation number 1. If the polar coordinates r and theta instead of x and y are used, then u plus iv is equal to f of r e raised to I theta, where w is equal to u plus iv and z is equal to r e raised to I theta. In that case, we may write f of z is equal to u of r theta plus I v of r theta, that is equation number 2. Next, an example, if f of z is equal to z square, then f of x plus iy is equal to x plus iy whole square, that is x square minus y square plus I times 2xy. Hence, u of xy is equal to x square minus y square and v of xy is equal to 2xy. When polar coordinates are used, f of r e raised to I theta is equal to r e raised to I theta whole square, that is equal to r square into e raised to 2 I theta, that is r square cos 2 theta plus I r square sin 2 theta. Consequently, u of r theta is equal to r square cos 2 theta and v of r theta is equal to r square sin 2 theta. If in either equation 1 or 2, the function v is always 0, then the number f of z is always real. An example of such a real valued function of a complex variable is f of z is equal to mod z square, that is equal to x square plus y square plus I into 0. Next, about limits. Let a function f be defined at all points z in some deleted neighborhood of z0. The statement that the limit of f of z as z approaches z0 is a number w0, or limit z tending to z0 f of z is equal to w0, that is equation 1, means that the point w is equal to f of z can be made arbitrarily close to w0 if we choose the point z close enough to z0 but distinct from it. We now express the definition of limit in a precise and usable form. Equation 1 means that for each positive number epsilon, there is a positive number delta such that modulus of f of z minus w0 is less than epsilon whenever 0 less than mod z minus z0 less than delta, that is equation number 2. Geometrically, this definition says that for each epsilon neighborhood, modulus of w minus w0 less than epsilon of w0, there is a deleted delta neighborhood 0 less than mod z minus z0 less than delta of z0 such that every point z in it has an image w lying in the epsilon neighborhood. Note that even though all points in the deleted neighborhood 0 less than mod z minus z0 less than delta are to be considered, their images need not constitute the entire neighborhood modulus w minus w0 less than epsilon. If f has the constant value w0, for instance, the image of z is always the center of that neighborhood. Note too that once a delta has been found, it can be replaced by any smaller positive number such as delta by 2. Definition 2 requires that f be defined at all points in some deleted neighborhood of z0. Such a deleted neighborhood of course always exists when z0 is an interior point of a region on which f is defined. We can extend the definition of limit to the case in which z0 is a boundary point of the region by agreeing that the first of inequality 2 need be satisfied by only those points of z that lie in both the region and the domain 0 less than mod z minus z0 less than delta. Consider an example. If f of z is equal to iz by z bar in the open disk mod z less than 1, then limit z tending to 1 f of z is equal to I by 2. Recall that limit z tending to z0 f of z equal to w0 means that for any positive number epsilon we choose, we can find a delta such that modulus of f of z minus w0 is less than epsilon whenever 0 less than mod z minus z naught less than delta. Let z be any point in the region mod z less than 1. Also choose epsilon positive arbitrarily. Now consider modulus of f of z minus 1 by 2 less than epsilon. We know that modulus of f of z minus 1 by 2 is equal to iz by 2 minus 1 by 2. That is modulus of I into z minus 1 by 2. That is equal to modulus of z minus 1 by 2, since modulus of I is equal to 1. From star we can see that modulus of f of z minus I by 2 is less than epsilon, that is modulus of z minus 1 by 2 is less than epsilon, which implies that modulus of z minus 1 is less than 2 epsilon. Choose delta to be 2 epsilon, then we can see that modulus of f of z minus I by 2 is less than epsilon whenever modulus of z minus 1 is less than 2 epsilon, which is equal to delta, that is limit z tending to 1 f of z is equal to I by 2. Next, a result. If a limit of a complex valued function f of z exists at a point z naught, then it is unique. Now we are going to prove that. On the contrary, let us assume that at z naught the limit of f of z is not unique. Let there be more than one limit, say w1 and w2. That is limit z tending to z naught f of z equal to w1 and limit z tending to z naught f of z equal to w2. Then for any positive number epsilon, there are positive numbers delta 1 and delta 2 such that modulus of f of z minus w1 is less than epsilon whenever modulus of z minus z naught is less than delta 1, which is equation number 1, and modulus of f of z minus w2 is less than epsilon whenever modulus of z minus z naught is less than delta 2, which is equation number 2. Now choose delta to be the minimum of delta 1 and delta 2. Then 0 less than mod z minus z naught is less than delta, that is equation number 3. Now consider modulus of w1 minus w2. Add and subtract f of z along that, we will get modulus of w1 minus w2 is equal to modulus of w1 minus f of z plus f of z minus w2. That is f of z minus w2 minus of f of z minus w1, which is less than or equal to modulus of f of z minus w2 plus modulus of f of z minus w1, which is less than epsilon plus epsilon, that is 2 epsilon from the equations 1, 2 and 3. That is modulus of w1 minus w2 is less than 2 epsilon. Since epsilon positive can be chosen arbitrarily small, we can conclude that w1 is equal to w2, that is the limit of f of z at z naught is unique. Note that the symbol z tending to z naught implies that z is allowed to approach z naught in an arbitrary manner, not just from some particular direction. The next example emphasizes this. Consider the function f of z is equal to z by z bar. Then limit z tending to 0 f of z does not exist. If possible, assume that the limit exists. If it did exist, it could be found by letting the point z is equal to ordered pair x1 x2 approach the origin 0 0 in any manner. If xy approaches 0 0 along the real axis, that is through the points z equal to x0, then f of z is equal to x plus I0 divided by x minus I0, that is equal to 1. If xy approaches ordered pair 0 0 along the imaginary axis, that is through the points 0 y, then f of z is equal to 0 plus Iy divided by 0 minus Iy, that is equal to minus 1. Thus, by letting z approach the origin along the real axis, we would find that the desired limit is 1 and approach along the imaginary axis on the other hand yield the limit minus 1. Since a limit is unique, we can conclude that limit z tending to 0 z by z bar does not exist. Now consider a theorem. Suppose that f of z is equal to u of xy plus I v of xy, where z naught is equal to x naught plus I y naught and w naught is equal to u naught plus I v naught. Then limit z tending to z naught f of z is equal to w naught if and only if limit xy tending to x naught y naught u of xy is equal to u naught and limit xy tending to x0 y0 v of xy is equal to v0. Let us consider these equations as 1 and 2 respectively. Now considering to the proof, assume that limit xy tending to x0 y0 u of xy equal to u0 and limit xy tending to x0 y0 v of xy equal to v0. That is, for each positive epsilon there exists a delta 1 positive and delta 2 positive such that modulus of u minus u0 is less than epsilon by 2 whenever 0 less than square root of x minus x0 whole square plus y minus y0 whole square less than delta 1 and modulus of v minus v0 is less than epsilon by 2 whenever 0 less than square root of x minus x0 whole square plus y minus y0 whole square less than delta 2. These are equations 3 and 4 respectively. Now consider the delta to be minimum of delta 1 and delta 2. Now consider the modulus of u plus iv minus of u0 plus iv0 which is equal to u minus u0 plus I v minus v0 which is equal to modulus of u minus u0 plus modulus of v minus v0 and square root of x minus x0 whole square plus y minus y0 whole square is equal to modulus of x minus x0 plus I times y minus y0 which is equal to modulus of x plus iy minus of x0 plus iy0. From 3 and 4, modulus of u plus iv minus of u0 plus iv0 is less than epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2, that is equal to epsilon whenever 0 less than modulus of x plus iy minus x0 plus iy0 is less than delta. That is, modulus of f of z minus w0 is less than epsilon whenever 0 less than modulus of z minus z0 less than delta, implies that limit z tending to z0 f of z is equal to w0. Now conversely assume that limit z tending to z0 f of z is equal to w0. For any epsilon positive chosen arbitrarily, there exists a delta such that modulus of u plus iv minus of u0 plus iv0 less than epsilon whenever 0 less than modulus of x plus iy minus of x0 plus iy0 less than delta. But modulus of u minus u0 less than or equal to modulus of u minus u0 plus I times v minus v0 which is equal to modulus of u plus iv minus u0 plus iv0. Modulus of v minus v0 is less than or equal to modulus of u minus u0 plus I times v minus v0 which is equal to modulus of u plus iv minus of u0 plus iv0 and modulus of x plus iy minus of x0 plus iy0 is equal to modulus of x minus x0 plus I times y minus y0 which is equal to square root of x minus x0 whole square plus y minus y0 whole square. From 5 and 6, modulus of u minus u0 is less than epsilon and modulus of v minus v0 is less than epsilon whenever 0 less than square root of x minus x0 whole square plus y minus y0 whole square less than delta. Hence we proved. Now consider the topic continuity. A function f is continuous at a point z0 if all three of the following conditions are satisfied. The first condition is limit z tending to z0 f of z exists. Second condition, f of z0 exists. Third condition, limit z tending to z0 f of z is equal to f of z0. A function of a complex variable is said to be continuous in a region R if it is continuous at each point in R. If two functions f of z and g of z are continuous at a point z0, then f of z plus g of z, f of z minus g of z, f of z into g of z are also continuous. F of z divided by g of z is also continuous at z0 where g of z not equal to 0. Next consider a result. The composition of continuous functions is also continuous. I can summarize this session like this. From this section, a learner is expected to understand the concept of limit and continuity of complex valued functions. The concept of open set, closed set, etc. are explained. For a function f of z to be continuous at z equal to z0, basically the limit z tending to z0 f of z should exist. In order to understand the concept of continuity, one should be thorough with the concept of limit. Now you can try to answer the given questions. If limit z10 into z0 f of z equal to w0 and limit z10 into z0 g of z equal to v0, then prove that limit z10 into z0 f of z plus g of z is equal to w0 plus v0. Second question, show that limit z10 into infinity 2z plus I divided by z plus 1 is equal to 2. Third question, verify that mod z less than or equal to 1 contains all its boundary points. The fourth one, limit z10 into infinity 4z square divided by z minus 1 whole square is equal to 4. The fifth question, find the value of limit z10 into 1 minus I x plus I into 2x plus y. The sixth question, show that limit z10 into z0 real part of z is equal to real part of z0. Here are some books for your reference. Complex Variables and Applications, 6th edition by James Ward Brown and Ruel V. Churchill, published by McGraw-Hill International Editions. The other book, Complex Variables, Introduction and Application by Mark J. Ablowitz and Athanasius S. Fokas, published by Cambridge Texts in Applied Mathematics. Another book, Complex Variables by Herb Silverman, Houghton Mifflin Company, Boston. You can refer also the website www.mathworld.wolfram.com, also wikipedia.org. Hope that you have enjoyed this session. We can meet again with another topic.